a hand to the neck, and then...
And here's the thing, it happens every day, pretty much every single game. And the women of the WNBA, and even there's female broadcasters out there who don't even hide their disdain.
We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had 2 cheap shots right there that weren't called. And I just say again, absolutely unacceptable.
The microphone never actually stopped recording, and what it captured behind closed doors has sent shockwaves across the basketball world. What if the person everyone blamed as the main villain was only a small piece of a much bigger story? Believing the live broadcast had ended and her microphone was no longer active, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White leaned toward an assistant and quietly revealed something so unsettling, so deeply buried, that it was never supposed to reach the public. If true, the revelation could shake the very foundation of the WNBA. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. The instant the confidential audio reportedly reached NBA headquarters, Commissioner Adam Silver was said to react immediately. Without waiting for discussions or formal approval, he allegedly stepped in himself and issued an urgent internal directive that stunned everyone connected to the league. What reportedly triggered such an explosive response has left fans demanding answers. So what was really happening behind the scenes? Were officials receiving instructions from the highest levels to single out Caitlin Clark during games? And perhaps the most troubling question of all, as Clark absorbed repeated physical punishment on the court, why did her own head coach remain silent? In the next few moments, every hidden layer of this story will be exposed, revealing a series of events that has left fans demanding answers. It all begins with one of the most controversial games of the season, a matchup where many believed the limits of fair competition were pushed to the edge. What unfolded on the floor didn't feel like an ordinary basketball game to many watching. Instead, it appeared to be a contest filled with repeated physical play directed at Caitlin Clark. Hard contact, questionable screens, and heavy collisions continued throughout the game, often without a whistle. The crowd made its feelings clear, filling the arena with boos as frustration grew over the officiating. To many spectators, the officials seemed to let incident after incident pass without intervention, leaving fans wondering why the game was being called so differently. Yet the officiating wasn't the only thing that caught everyone's attention. Many fans were equally surprised when they looked toward the Indiana Fever bench and saw head coach Stephanie White remaining composed instead of visibly confronting the officials. In most high-stakes games, coaches fiercely defend their star players, arguing calls, challenging referees, and sometimes even accepting technical fouls in the process. This time, however, White's restrained reaction became one of the biggest talking points of the entire night.
The WNBA before, or watching Dave Portnoy never talked about the WNBA. Suddenly he's tweeting about the WNBA. She's an unbelievable shooter. She's an incredible competitor, all those things. And they're going out of their way to break her and ruin her. It's not just the punch and the little extra dig and the kick. There was another play, I think maybe it was the same game, where one of the defenders did what's the most dangerous thing you can do in basketball, which is when someone shoots, that you just walk close enough to them so that they hopefully step on your foot, in which case they're going to either break an ankle or maybe, break it, snap an Achilles or something. And this is happening time and time again. And I would say that if the WNBA will not do anything about this, which it seems that they will not, that Caitlin, not whatever I called her before, not the one from CNN, that Caitlin Clark should leave the league and she should start her own league. And I know that sounds completely insane. And I know she'd probably, the toll it would take, and I get all the reasons not to do it. But at some point, there is something so grotesque happening here. And I would also say, and maybe this sounds a little sexist, there's something different about women hitting women than watching men hit men. I just think optically, there's something...
To many viewers, it almost seemed as though White expected exactly how the night would unfold. As Caitlin Clark continued to absorb heavy contact, there was little visible pushback from the Indiana Fever bench, leaving fans questioning why stronger objections weren't made. Online, reactions poured in almost instantly, with countless posts asking why the team's biggest star appeared to receive so little public support from her own sideline. But according to the story being told, the biggest twist came after the final buzzer. Once the arena had emptied and the post-game media session had wrapped up, Stephanie White remained in the interview room as staff members began packing away equipment. Believing the cameras were off and the microphones were no longer broadcasting, she allegedly leaned toward an assistant and quietly made a remark that, if authentic, could dramatically change the conversation surrounding the entire incident. The reported comment suggested the situation had moved beyond the coaching staff's control. According to the alleged leaked recording, she said, "We can't protect her anymore. It's no longer in our hands. They want it this way."
All types of stuff. Ridiculous, man. Alyssa Thomas is dirty. Look at the dirty plays. Look at this angle where she puts her knee directly on her groin. She was out to injure Caitlin Clark. Look at this.
Streaking to the basket.
Look at her. The ball is all the way over there. Why is your knee in her groin? What are you doing? What are you doing, Alyssa Thomas? The ball isn't even over there. Look at where the ball is, guys. Look at where the ball is. Why are you going through putting your knee on her groin? The ball is clearly behind you. Caitlin Clark don't got the ball. What are you doing? This is targeting. This is an attack. The WNBA needs to step in and do something about Alyssa Thomas and her goon squad brutally, viciously attacking Caitlin Clark. Brutally, viciously attacking Caitlin Clark. What are y'all gonna do?
The outrage didn't stop once the final whistle blew. Fans and commentators alike began asking the same question: what is the league going to do about this? Many argued that the WNBA's biggest attraction was being subjected to repeated physical play without enough protection, and they couldn't understand why the officials allowed the game to unfold that way. Some critics were especially harsh, directing their frustration at Alyssa Thomas and calling her style of play unacceptable. In their view, the contact crossed the line and deserved far more than a routine foul. To them, a technical wasn't enough. A fine wasn't enough. They believed the sequence warranted a flagrant foul and even an ejection. Attention also turned to several physical plays throughout the game, including one in which Caitlin Clark appeared to injure her back after absorbing contact. Commentators who criticized the game described the overall approach as overly aggressive, arguing that the Phoenix Mercury repeatedly focused their defensive pressure on Clark and pushed the limits of what should have been allowed. Many critics believed the physical play had already crossed the line, arguing that Clark ended up getting hurt as a result. After the controversy from the previous matchup, a number of fans expected the WNBA to take stronger steps to keep the next game under control. Instead, they felt the same overly physical style continued without meaningful intervention. When the game itself began, Caitlin Clark immediately caught fire. She opened the night shooting efficiently, finishing 5 of her first 9 attempts while piling up 19 points and 8 assists. At that pace, many believed she was well on her way to another dominant performance. What puzzled some observers was the offensive approach after that. By the time Clark briefly left the floor, she had taken only the third most shots on the team, trailing both Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. Some commentators questioned that strategy, arguing that when Clark is in rhythm, the offense should continue to run through her rather than shifting elsewhere. To them, the decision became even more confusing after Indiana appeared to call several consecutive plays for Kelsey Mitchell, while Clark had been playing at such a high level. Even so, Mitchell delivered an outstanding performance of her own. She poured in 30 points on highly efficient shooting, knocked down 7 three-pointers, and added 6 assists in one of her strongest all-around games. Still, critics pointed to the closing moments, arguing that when Indiana needed a decisive offensive possession, a costly offensive foul and turnover prevented the team from capitalizing. According to the claims surrounding the alleged recording, the controversy quickly grew far beyond a single game, raising broader questions about leadership, officiating, and the league's handling of its biggest star. The situation sparked intense debate among fans, with many demanding accountability and wondering whether Caitlin Clark had been given enough protection on the court. As speculation continued to spread, the discussion shifted from one controversial matchup to concerns about the WNBA's future, leaving supporters divided and eager to see how league officials would respond.